The crash and the cry. The ship was broken. Big pieces of metal floated in the air. Fire burned in the walls. Wires hung from the ceiling like snakes. It was quiet, too quiet. Jace opened his eyes. His head hurt. His hands were shaking. Blood was on his arms. He looked around. Smoke filled the room. Red lights flashed. Alarms were dead. He was still alive. Jace, a human slave, was lying on the floor of a huge alien warship, the Valor of Xenthra. This ship once flew with pride. Now, it was a grave in space. He coughed and sat up. His left leg was cut, but not broken. He pulled himself up, using the wall for support. He was wearing his old, dirty work clothes, torn shirt, metal tags around his neck, and his slave ID. His heart beat fast. "What happened?" he whispered. "Where is everyone?" Jace remembered screams. Fire. A bright explosion. Then, darkness. Now he was alone. Or so he thought. Then he heard it. A sound. A voice. Very soft. "Help. Me." He froze. Was it real? Or his mind playing tricks? "Help. Me." The voice came again. Weak. Female. Jace looked down the hallway. It was dark, full of smoke and fire. But he moved. Step by step he walked. The floor was cracked. Sparks jumped from the walls. He passed 2 alien bodies. Xenthar warriors. Dead. Burned. He didn't stop. The voice was calling him. "Please, someone." Jace turned the corner. A big steel beam had crashed into the floor. Under it was a body. Small, not like the warriors. A woman. Pale silver skin. Royal robes. A crown broken on her head. Jace's eyes widened. It was Queen Araka, ruler of the Xenthar Empire. She was the reason humans were slaves. She was the reason his people suffered. The queen who never smiled. The queen who ruled with fire. And now, she was trapped. She looked up at him. Her face was full of pain. Her body could not move. Her legs were crushed. Her arms were broken. But her eyes still had fire. "You, human," she whispered. "Help. Me." Jace stood there. His hands tightened into fists. He thought about his family. His father, killed by Xenthar guards. His little sister, taken from him when he was 10. He thought about the pain, the chains, the hunger. And now, she wanted help. He looked at her. "You need me now," he said quietly. "You need a slave." She blinked, trying to speak, but her voice was too soft. "I should leave you," Jace said. "Let you die like the rest." But he didn't move. Something inside him pulled him forward. Not anger. Not hate. Something else. Humanity. He stepped closer. "You're heavy," he muttered, "and this ship's falling apart." She looked at him with wide eyes. A tear rolled down her silver cheek. He bent down, pushed the metal beam with all his strength. It didn't move. He groaned, pulled again. With a loud crack, the beam rolled off. Dust flew everywhere. He pulled her up into his arms. She cried out in pain but didn't scream. Her body was cold. "Don't think this means I like you," Jace said. "I'm just not like you." He turned and began walking back through the broken hallways, carrying the queen. She was light, but his legs were weak. Still, he didn't stop. The ship shook again. A loud boom came from below. He moved faster. "I need to get out," he said to himself. "Find a pod. Get out of this grave." But deep down, he knew something was wrong. The ship was not just broken. It was hiding something. And this queen, why was she still alive? Why was he saving her? His heart pounded with questions. But he walked on. Through fire. Through smoke. Carrying the woman who once called him nothing. And now, she was everything. Enemies in the smoke. The ship was dying. Lights flickered like they were breathing their last. Metal groaned as it bent under its own weight. The fire hissed in the walls like it was alive. Jace kept moving. His arms shook as he carried the queen. Every few steps, he had to stop and catch his breath. His legs were getting slower, but his heart beat faster with every sound around him. Smoke wrapped around them like fog. It was hard to see, harder to breathe. But something was worse than the smoke. Something was watching. He didn't see it. Not yet. But he felt it. The way someone feels eyes in the dark. Something was moving through the halls. Quiet. Careful. Hungry. Jace knew the ship wasn't empty. As he stepped over another broken pipe, he whispered to himself, "Stay calm. Just get to the pods. Get out." The queen moaned softly in his arms. She was cold, sweating. Her silver skin was pale. "You'll die if I stop," Jace said. "And I don't want your ghost following me." He didn't know why he was talking to her. Maybe to stay sane. Maybe because he needed to hear his own voice. The halls were tighter now. Narrower. He passed through a tunnel with deep claw marks on the walls. He stopped. Claws. He leaned closer. 4 long scratches. Deep. Fresh. Not from the crash. He turned slowly. Behind him, the smoke moved. Not like air. Like something crawling in it. Jace gripped a broken metal pipe from the floor and held it tight. "Who's there?" he called out. "I'm not playing games." No answer. Just clicking sounds. Soft. Fast. Too fast for a machine. Then a voice came. Not the queen's. Not his. A whisper. Sharp. Alien. Flesh. Jace backed away. The queen stirred in his arms. "Run," she whispered. "What is it?" he asked. "Ship scavengers," she said. "They come after battle. Feed on the wounded." He looked at her. "And you didn't think to mention that earlier." She gave him a weak smile. "I thought you'd be faster." The clicking got louder. Jace ran. He didn't know where he was going. Just forward. Away from the sound. Away from death. He turned left. Then right. Fire burst behind him. He ducked under a beam. His breath was heavy now. His body screaming. But he didn't stop. The queen's weight felt heavier. His arms burned. "Please," she whispered, eyes fluttering. "Don't let them take me." "Don't talk," Jace said. "Save your strength." The clicking was behind them now, louder, closer. He slid into a broken room and kicked the door shut. He set the queen down behind a half-crushed table. She coughed, blood on her lips. "You shouldn't have saved me," she whispered. He looked at her. "Too late to change my mind." She looked into his eyes. "Why are you doing this?" Jace didn't answer. Instead, he checked the room. It was a control bay. Burned. Broken screens. Dead bodies. One had a small energy pistol in his hand. Jace grabbed it. Dead battery. Of course. He picked up his metal pipe again and stood near the door. Then, silence. No clicking. No sound. Jace held his breath. He looked back at the queen. Her eyes were closed. Not dead. Just passed out. He turned to the door. And then, boom! The wall behind him exploded. A dark creature jumped through the hole. Long arms, sharp claws, black skin that shimmered like oil. Its mouth opened sideways, showing rows of teeth. It screeched. Jace raised the pipe. The creature lunged. He swung hard, hit its face. It screamed and slashed at him. Blood splashed. His arm was cut. He hit it again. Again. Screaming with rage now. "Get off me." With a final blow, he crushed its head. It fell to the floor, twitching. Jace stood there, chest heaving. The queen looked up. "You killed it," she whispered. "Barely," Jace said. His arm was bleeding. "We need to move." She tried to sit up, failed. "You'll die helping me." Maybe, he said, but I won't be like you. I won't leave people behind. She looked at him, not with pride, not with power, but with something new. Respect. Jace pulled her back into his arms. He stepped out of the broken room, now covered in blood and smoke. I don't care who you were, he said. Right now, you're just someone I'm not letting die. The Queen's voice was weak. If we survive, I will owe you more than my life. Jace didn't reply. But inside, he wondered, what kind of future was waiting? Who else was hunting them? And why, deep in the ship, did he feel like they were heading straight into something far worse? The Chamber of Ghosts. The ship was changing. The fire was quieter now, but the air felt colder. The deeper Jace went, the stranger the halls became. Shadows moved without reason. Lights flickered in colors he couldn't name. The Queen was barely awake in his arms. Her breath was slow. Her skin was turning gray. Her body had lost too much blood, and Jace was running out of strength. Still, he walked. Every hallway was a maze of twisted metal, hanging wires, and shattered glass. The ship groaned like it was alive and angry. But Jace kept going. Something was calling him forward. Not a sound, something inside him. He turned into a quiet passage. No fire here. No noise. Just a cold blue light that glowed from the walls. Ahead, a strange door stood open. Tall, smooth, not metal, but some kind of crystal. It pulsed gently, like it had a heartbeat. Jace hesitated. Where are we? The Queen whispered. He looked down at her. You tell me. This is your ship. Her eyes moved slowly, scanning the door. That's the Royal Memory Chamber. Sounds safe, Jace said with a bitter laugh. He stepped inside. The air changed immediately. Cooler. Still, the smell of smoke was gone. In its place, something old, like dust and ice. The room was wide and round, walls of clear crystal, and floating in the center were glowing orbs. Hundreds of them. They moved slowly like planets. Each orb pulsed with a soft white light. Jace felt a strange pull in his chest. What is this place? He asked quietly. The Queen's voice was weak. Our memories. The thoughts of our rulers. Every queen. Every king. Stored here for the next one to learn. Jace turned in a slow circle. You store memories, like files. She nodded slightly. More than files. Emotions. Secrets. Powers. Each orb holds more than words. It holds a soul's echo. He walked toward one of the orbs. It glowed brighter as he neared. The Queen stirred again. Don't touch it. Not yet. But it was too late. Jace's fingers brushed the orb. FLA-ish. His mind exploded with images. He saw battles across stars. He saw alien cities rise and fall. He saw the first Queen of Senthra, standing on a mountain of fire. He saw the truth of the Xenthar, how they found humans, how they tested them, how they judged them weak. And he saw one secret hidden deep. A weapon, not made to kill, but to control. DNA linked, meant only for the royal line. Or someone else. Someone who had touched a dying queen. Someone like him. Jace dropped to his knees. His head spun. Blood ran from his nose. He gasped for air. The Queen looked at him in shock. You saw it. Jace looked at her. That weapon. It's real. It's alive. It's part of this ship. She nodded. And now, it's part of you. He stared at her. Why didn't you tell me? Because I didn't know if you would survive, she said softly. Now you have, and everything has changed. Jace stood slowly, still dizzy. You wanted to use this weapon, against Earth. She didn't answer. He stepped closer. You wanted to finish the war your people started. Yes, she said. But now, it may be the only way to stop something worse. What could be worse than you? He asked. She looked into his eyes. The ones who betrayed me, that sent their counsel. They don't want peace. They want power. And they know you're alive now. Jace felt a chill in his spine. Then we're both targets. Yes, she said. And they're coming. As if on cue, the ship's walls hummed. A voice echoed through the chamber. Deep, cold, robotic. Royal signal found. Hostile DNA detected. Lockdown beginning. Jace spun around. What was that? The Queen's eyes widened. You triggered the ship's eye. It thinks you're a threat. Me? I saved your life. To the ship, you're not royal. Not yet. The lights turned red. Heavy doors slammed shut behind them. Jace ran to the exit. Locked. He turned to the Queen. How do I shut it down? You need to bond fully with the ship. Touch the core memory. What happens if I fail? He asked. You die, she said simply. Great. Jace turned to the biggest orb in the room. It pulsed like a heart. This one was different. He placed his hand on it. The light exploded. Thafelash. His body lifted off the ground. His mind filled with energy, memories, pain. He screamed, but didn't stop. He saw her memories, her childhood, her rise, her fall. He saw her loneliness. He saw a queen who ruled, but never lived. And he saw himself, a slave, a fighter, a survivor. The energy faded. He dropped to the floor, breathing hard. The red lights turned green. The doors opened. The ship accepted him. The Queen looked at him, shocked. You're the first human the ship ever accepted. Jace wiped his face. Maybe because I didn't ask for power. I just wanted to live. She smiled faintly. That may be why you deserve it. The ship's voice echoed again. Warning. Enemy vessels detected. Arrival in 15 minutes. Jace stood tall, pipe still in his hand. We need to get to the bridge, he said. Now. The Queen reached up and touched his arm. There's more, she whispered. More than a weapon, more than memories. Jace looked down at her. What do you mean? She said one word. One final gift. The broken bridge. The walls were shaking now. Not just from damage, but from power. The ship was waking up. Jace felt it in his bones as he carried the Queen through the glowing halls. Behind them, the memory chamber closed itself, locking away the voices of ancient rulers. Ahead, the path to the bridge was long and deadly. The ship's voice followed them like a ghost. Enemy vessels detected. Time to contact. 12 minutes. Recommend evacuation or combat preparation. Evacuation wasn't an option. The escape pods were gone, launched or destroyed during the crash. That left one path. The command bridge, the brain of the ship. And right now, it was dying. Jace pushed forward, arm bleeding, steps uneven. The Queen's weight pressed down harder with each minute, but he didn't stop. He couldn't, because something had changed inside him. Not just the memories, not just the power from the orb. He felt seen, chosen, like the ship itself had whispered to him, you are more than what they told you. And now, the galaxy was watching. They reached a stairwell leading up to the bridge tower. It was broken. The stairs were snapped in half, hanging in midair like broken bones. Below them, a massive chasm of shattered decks and fire. Above, the bridge glowed faintly, still alive, just barely. No way around, Jace asked. The Queen was silent. Of course not. He stared at the gap. 5 meters. He couldn't jump that far with her in his arms, and she couldn't move. But the ship had accepted him. That had to mean something. He placed the Queen gently down beside the railing. Don't move, he said. She gave him a weak smile. Not much choice. He backed up, took a deep breath, and ran. He jumped. At the peak of the leap, he felt it again. The ship responding to him. A pulse. A hum. The air beneath his feet shimmered, just for a moment. and somehow he landed safely. He turned, shocked. A small energy bridge had formed just long enough to carry him across. The ship had helped. Jace grinned. Okay, that's new. He pulled a wire from the panel nearby and stretched it across the gap. A tightrope. Then he tied one end around his waist and the other around a broken metal post. He looked at the Queen. Hold on. I'm pulling you across. You'll fall, she said. He looked her dead in the eye. Not today. It took everything he had. Muscle, rage, memory, pain. Inch by inch, he dragged her body across the makeshift rope bridge. Sparks fell below them. Flames roared under their feet. But he didn't stop. By the time he pulled her up, he was shaking. She looked at him differently now. Not like a slave. Not even like a hero. But like something else. A threat. The bridge door was locked. Jace pressed his hand against the scanner. The panel blinked, then opened. Inside, the command room was half-lit, half-destroyed. Glass cracked under his boots. Holograms blinked in the air. Maps, ships, warnings. One of them showed the incoming enemy fleet. 6 Centaur warships, fully armed. They had 10 minutes. Jace laid the Queen on the captain's chair. This is your throne, right? Was, she said. Now it's yours. He stepped toward the main console. A strange, silver handle glowed at the center. It looked like a blade hilt, but smooth, elegant. The ship spoke again. Do you claim control of the Centaur flagship? Jace looked at the Queen. She nodded. He reached out, grabbed the handle, and pulled. Paralyzed. Pain shot through his body. The floor shook. The chair lit up. Symbols danced across the room. And his voice was inside the ship now. He didn't just see the ship. He was the ship. He felt every wall, every corridor, every broken part. He saw the enemy fleet. And he felt fear. Not his. Theirs. Give me control of weapons, he said. The ship obeyed. 2 cannons came online, barely powered. Shields were at 10%. Most systems offline. They were outgunned, but not outsmarted. Jace touched the memory crystal still tied to his belt. It pulsed, showing ancient war tactics. Fast, sharp, brilliant. He began inputting commands. The Queen watched him from the chair. You're not just a slave, she said. He didn't look back. I never was. She smiled. If you survive this, the galaxy will know your name. I don't want fame, Jace replied. I want to end the war you started. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Enemy boarding pods launched. Hull breach in Sector 7. They're not just attacking from space, Jace said. They're coming inside. He looked at the Queen. Can you still fight? She looked down at her broken body. No, she whispered, but I can still give. He stepped closer. What do you mean? She reached into her chest armor and pulled out a glowing shard. It beat like a heart. This is my core essence, she said. The throne responds to it, but now it responds to you. If I give this to you, you'll become more than captain. You'll become royal. Jace stared at it. You'd give up your legacy. For me. She smiled weakly. You already earned it. I only gave you the chance. Jace reached forward and took it. The shard melted into his skin. And in that moment, Jace stopped being just a man. He became something else. The first human ruler of a Xanthar warship. The truth of the throne. Jace stood in silence. The shard the Queen had given him was gone, melted into his chest, still glowing faintly beneath his skin. But everything around him had changed. The lights on the bridge grew brighter. The air felt charged. The ship's voice echoed with a new tone. Not cold, not robotic, but respectful. New authority confirmed. Royal signature detected. Human species accepted. Ruler status. Jace of Earth. Class. Unbound sovereign. The Queen, still weak in the command chair, looked at him with tired eyes. "You feel it, don't you?" she whispered. "The throne. The truth." Jace didn't answer. His hands were clenched tight. His breathing was sharp. He had thought this was just survival. Save the queen, escape the ship, maybe stop an attack. But now, he felt everything. He could hear the engines hum. He could feel the enemy ships getting closer, each one like a shadow touching his skin. And he could feel the throne itself, showing him the truth. Images filled his mind. Visions, memories, not just from the queen, but from the ship's ancient heart. A hidden war, a secret plan, and humanity's place in the middle of it all. The Xanthar were never afraid of humans. They studied Earth, judged it, decided it was weak, full of emotion, chaos, and noise, a race good for work, but never war. So they enslaved them. But in truth, the Xanthar feared one thing more than any enemy: change. They built this ship, the Valor of Xanthra, to carry the seed of adaptation, a weapon meant to rewrite genetics, reshape armies, and create perfect rulers. But the seed couldn't be used by just anyone. It required a living host strong enough to carry royal memories, and wild enough to reject control. The Xanthar tried it on themselves. They failed. So they turned to something else. They turned to the only species that had survived everything thrown at them. Humans. Jace gasped. The truth hit him like a punch to the chest. They planned this, he said. They wanted to turn humans into weapons. The queen didn't move. "Yes," she whispered, "but not me." The council. They wanted soldiers who could feel no pain, no fear, no guilt. She looked at him. "But I saw something different in your people." "What?" Jace asked. She gave the smallest smile. "Hope." Jace looked away, anger burning. "They killed millions. Took everything from us. My family. My freedom. And now you say it was all for a test." The queen didn't defend it. She didn't have to. The ship showed him more. The throne room, hidden beneath the ship's core, was built not to control, but to connect. It was meant for the next ruler who could balance both power and mercy. And now, that throne was waking up. Jace turned to the console. The hologram map showed the enemy fleet just minutes away. 6 Xanthar warships, the elite class, fast and cruel. "We can't fight them," Jace said. "No," the queen replied. "Not unless you take the full power of the throne." He looked at her. "You mean become like you?" She shook her head. "No, I mean become something new." They moved fast. Jace carried her down the hidden path, a side elevator that led deep under the command deck. The walls changed as they descended, from metal to crystal, from machine to memory. The throne room was like nothing Jace had seen. It was round, floating in open space, surrounded by a field of stars. The walls pulsed with light. Symbols floated in the air, languages long forgotten. At the center stood a single chair. Not big, not sharp. It was smooth, pale, shaped like a flame caught in stillness. It called to him. He stepped forward. The queen held out her hand. "Once you sit, it will read your soul. And if it doesn't like me, it will burn you alive." Jace looked at the throne. He remembered the chains on his hands as a child, the look in his sister's eyes when they were taken, the long nights without food, without warmth, without freedom. Then he sat. The world exploded. Every star in the sky blinked. Every voice in the ship fell silent. Time stopped. The throne read him. His anger, his pain, his questions, his kindness, his fear, and it accepted him, not because he was perfect, but because he wasn't. He screamed as the throne poured power into his body. Not fire, not light, something deeper. Knowledge. He saw how to control the ship, with his mind, with his blood, with his will. He saw how to move it through space without fuel, how to shake weapons from sound and light, how to speak in every language of the stars, and most of all, how to forgive. When his eyes opened, the queen was smiling. Tears rolled down her silver face. "You did it," she said. Jace stood slowly. His body was glowing. The scars on his arms, gone. His eyes, golden. He was no longer just human. He was something else. The bridge called to him again. "Sovereign Jace, enemy fleet arriving. Orders." He walked to the console. His voice was calm. "Let them come. Rise of the human flame." The stars were on fire. Outside the ship, 6 Centaur warships had arrived, sharp like blades, glowing like predators in the dark. Their cannons aimed forward. Their engines burned like rage. Inside, Jace stood at the center of the shattered bridge, surrounded by light. He wasn't the same anymore. The throne had changed him, not just in body, but in soul. His eyes, once tired and human, now glowed gold with ancient knowledge. His voice echoed when he spoke, and his thoughts moved faster than machines. Jace had become something new, something that Centaur never saw coming. A human, with the power to rule them all. The ship's AI spoke softly in his ear. "Enemy ships within striking range. Shields at 14%. Weapons at 19%. Suggest surrender or delay." "No," Jace said calmly. "Open comms. Broadcast my voice to the enemy fleet." A low hum followed. The queen watched from her chair, her body weak, but her eyes alive. She knew what was about to happen. This was no longer her war. It was his. A screen lit up. A hologram of the Centaur fleet's commander appeared. Cold eyes, silver skin, armor like sharpened bone. He sneered when he saw Jace. "A human? Sitting on our throne." The commander laughed. "You think we fear a pet?" Jace stood tall. "I'm no pet," he said. "I'm your mistake." The commander narrowed his eyes. "You're outnumbered, outgunned. You have no army, no chance." Jace smiled. "You're wrong. I have a ship and a reason." He ended the call. And then, everything exploded into motion. The enemy ships opened fire. 6 beams of red plasma shot forward like dragons from the void. Jace raised his hand, not toward the screens, but toward the ship itself. The throne felt his command. The ship moved, not with engines, with will. The valor of Centaur shifted in space like a shadow slipping through light. The plasma beams passed through empty air, missing their target completely. On the bridge, the queen gasped. "You phased the ship." Jace didn't answer. He was already planning his counterstrike. He reached into the console, touching it with his bare hand. Weapons online. Cannon cores hummed, charging faster than physics should allow. Jace directed power from the throne itself. Raw, unstable, furious. The kind of energy only a living soul could hold. He aimed at the nearest warship. Fire. A beam of white fire shot out, cutting the enemy ship straight down the middle. No explosion, just silence, and then dust. 1 down, 5 to go. The others moved fast, spreading out like wolves circling prey. Jace didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into the deeper systems of the ship. Old systems, hidden ones. He found something strange. A human code, placed there decades ago. Left behind by the first test subjects. Left behind by his people. "Activate the human flame protocol," he said. The ship paused. "Warning. Protocol unstable. May damage host." Jace's voice didn't change. "Do it anyway." From deep within the ship's belly, fire lit up the walls. Old tubes cracked open. Strange liquid ran through the floors. The ship screamed like it was alive again. And then it happened. Jace's body caught fire, but not flames that burned. These flames danced across his skin like light, golden, ancient, powerful. The Queen's eyes widened. That's impossible. You've merged with the throne. Jace stepped forward, now glowing like a star in human form. I'm not your ruler, he said quietly. I'm your mirror. The enemy ships moved in. 3 launched boarding pods. Hundreds of soldiers raced toward the valor of Zenthra, ready to storm the broken hull. Jace smiled. Let them try. He raised both hands, and the ship responded like an extension of his body. Walls sealed. Corridors bent. Floors shifted. He was no longer inside the ship. He was the ship. The soldiers landed, and were swallowed by the metal like insects falling into sand. Screams echoed through the ship's systems, then silence. The Queen watched, stunned. You're using the ship like a living thing. Jace nodded. It is. It always was. It just needed someone to feel it. She looked at him, a strange mix of fear and awe in her eyes. You are the weapon we feared. Jace turned slowly. No, he said. I'm the future you refuse to believe in. Another enemy ship approached, charging up a planet-killer cannon, meant to destroy entire cities. Jace felt it building. He placed both palms on the throne's control sphere. Let me show you what Earth taught me. He focused, not on war, not on pain, but on memory. His mother's laugh. His father's hands, rough from work. His sister's voice, soft and full of light. He poured that love into the ship's core, and it responded. The cannon he fired this time wasn't a beam. It was a wave, a pulse of light that hit the enemy ship's mind, not its body. Their systems froze. Their weapons stopped. Their lights went dark. Jace had shut down the ship with an emotion. Something that Zenthar could never understand. Something human. The last 2 ships hesitated. The enemy commander sent one final message. What are you? Jace answered simply. Free. The enemy ships turned. They ran. They fled not from weapons, but from something far worse. Hope. Hope wrapped in flame. Hope in the shape of a human who had nothing left, and still stood tall. The Queen's voice was weak. You've done what no ruler ever could. Jace walked to her. He knelt beside her. You're not my enemy anymore, he said. And you're not my queen. She smiled. I never was. Then she closed her eyes and slept for the last time. Jace stood. The ship was his. The stars were his. And somewhere, deep inside, Earth was still waiting. The gift that changed everything. The stars were quiet again. No more enemy ships. No more fire. No more alarms. Just space, wide and cold and waiting. Inside the valor of Zenthra, Jace stood alone. He was not the same man who had once swept floors for alien masters. Not the same boy who had watched his sister dragged away in chains. Not the same slave who had found a dying queen beneath steel. He was something else now. Something more. But victory had a cost. The Queen's body lay still in the heart of the ship. She had given everything, not to win a war, but to end one. Her final breath had been a whisper of peace, not power. Jace stood beside her. He had dressed her in royal white, the same color that Zenthar used for mourning, a color she once wore only to bury others. Now it belonged to her. The throne room was silent. Light fell gently on her silver face. Jace touched her hand. It was cold now, but there was still warmth in what she left behind. A memory, a legacy, a gift. She had given him more than command, more than power. She had given him choice. For the first time, Jace wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He wasn't surviving. He was deciding. The ship spoke softly in his ear, its voice calmer now, like it too was grieving. Sovereign Jace, energy level stable. Systems online. Throne bond complete. Awaiting next directive. Jace took a breath. He walked to the edge of the command platform. Below, the galaxy shimmered. stars like fireflies, planets like distant dreams. He raised his hand. Open navigation map. The air filled with light. A full galaxy stretched out before him. So many worlds. So many voices. And now, they were listening. He touched Earth's location. It blinked on the map. Home. The place where it all began. Where the chains were first locked. Where hope was first stolen. But maybe now, hope could return. He looked down at the Queen's body. "You enslaved my people," he said softly. "But you also saved me. In your final moment, you gave me more than freedom." He closed his eyes. "You gave me a reason." The ship's engines hummed, but Jace didn't move to leave. Not yet. He turned and walked into the memory chamber one last time. The floating orbs still shimmered. Voices of rulers passed, frozen in light. But now there was a new orb glowing in the center, one not made of Xanthar crystal. It pulsed gold. Human-made. Jace stepped forward. He touched it, and saw her. Not the queen in armor. Not the cold leader of empires. But a lonely girl. A child raised by politics. A woman shaped by war. Her memory spoke gently. "You are more than what was done to you, Jace. The galaxy may try to name you, to use you, to fear you. But remember this, you are not here to conquer. You are here to heal." He wiped a tear from his face. No one had ever told him that before. When he returned to the bridge, the ship had changed again. The walls shimmered with blue and gold, a blend of Xanthar precision and human warmth. The ship had accepted both parts of him, just like the Queen had. The throne lit up as he approached. "Sovereign Jace, shall we return to Earth?" He paused. "No," he said. "Not yet." He looked again at the stars. "There are other worlds like mine. Still chained, still hurting, still waiting." He turned to the ship's voice. "Set course for the outer colonies. Quiet systems. Forgotten people. Purpose of travel." Jace's voice was steady. "To free them." In the silence of space, the valor of Xanthra shifted. No longer a warship. Now a beacon. The last royal warship of the Xanthar Empire. Piloted by a former human slave. A story that no empire could erase. A signal that would travel farther than light. That something had changed. That someone had risen. And that he was coming. Before he left, Jace stood at the ship's memorial chamber, now built with stone and steel, carved by the ship's nanites under his command. One name glowed on the wall. Queen Araka of Xanthra. Who dared to change. Who chose to give, not take. Who saw a slave and gave him a throne. He added one final message beneath it. "She gave me her crown. But what she really gave me was the right to never wear one." Jace stood in the central chamber one last time. The stars called to him. He reached up and removed the slave ID tag from his neck, the last piece of the old world. He looked at it for a moment, then dropped it on the floor. A soft clang echoed through the chamber, the sound of an old life ending, and a new one beginning. Far across the galaxy, a young human girl sat alone in a mining colony. She looked up at the sky. A strange light passed over her home. She pointed. "Look," she said. "A starship." Her older brother laughed. "That's not a ship. That's just a star." But the girl whispered, smiling, "No, it's him." The legend of the human flame had begun. A slave who rose, a queen who gave, a galaxy that would never forget, and a gift that changed everything.